This is the ESM Podcast Show, where the love of Christ continues to grow. Lift your heart, let His presence glow. Together we rise, together we know. The ESM Podcast Show.
This is ESM Podcast Show. You know, when you look at the recent headlines surrounding the Roman Catholic Church in Germany, it's hard not to feel a sense of history repeating itself, isn't it? As Yogi Berra might have famously said, it's déjà vu all over again. What exactly is unfolding there that makes it feel so familiar?
Absolutely. It's a striking parallel. We're witnessing what many are calling a significant revolt from within the German Roman Catholic hierarchy. The core issue, as pointed out by Vatican observers like Edward Penton, is that Rome's perceived failure to firmly correct these German bishops has really emboldened them to push a very progressive pro-LGBT agenda. It's creating a massive internal conflict, and the echoes of past church divisions are undeniable.
So this isn't just about general disagreements, it's quite specific then. What are some of these actions or stances by the German bishops that are causing such a stir and raising concerns about official Catholic teaching?
It's incredibly specific, especially concerning human sexuality. German sociologist Gabriele Kubi, who wrote that powerful book, The Global Sexual Revolution, has been a key voice on this. She highlights a recently released document from the German hierarchy that encourages Catholic school pupils to self-identify according to their sexual identity. It even suggests that Catholic schools should simply accept diversity of sexual identities as a fact. Even more controversially, teachers are being encouraged to present sexual morality as disputed and to allow students to form their own judgments. This directly clashes with established Catholic doctrine.
That sounds like a pretty direct challenge to traditional Catholic teaching. How widespread is this sentiment among the German bishops? Are there any voices of dissent within Germany itself?
That's where it gets even more concerning for those who uphold traditional teachings. Out of 110 Catholic bishops in Germany, only 3 have publicly spoken out against this embrace of what's seen as extreme liberal teaching on human sexuality. Kubi points out that this puts the German hierarchy on a direct collision course with official Roman Catholic teaching, as laid out in the Catechism of the Catholic Church and decades of papal documents. She states quite frankly that they do not build up the church, they actually pull it down. They do not follow the Pope, they are not good fathers to all the parents who want to protect their children. It's a very stark assessment of the situation.
And what about Pope Francis in all of this? How has the Vatican responded to these actions and statements from the German Church? Has there been a clear directive or a firm hand from Rome?
That's a critical part of the narrative. Many observers believe Pope Francis has unfortunately equivocated. His primary concern has seemed to be preventing an outright schism between Germany and Rome. But in doing so, he hasn't come out strongly against their promotion of this progressive queer ideology. The criticism is that words alone aren't enough. They need to be backed by action, and so far, Rome has largely been passive. This passivity, many argue, only further emboldens the German bishops, allowing this situation to fester and grow.
When you describe it like that with such open defiance and a perceived lack of firm action, it does start to sound like something with historical precedent. Is it really being compared to something as monumental as the Protestant Reformation?
Yes, it is. The article makes that exact comparison, suggesting that what we're seeing play out could be a fracture in the Roman Catholic Church that's as significant to world history as the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. Back then, German princes rejected papal control and introduced Protestantism. Today, it's not external forces, but rather liberal leaders within the German Roman Catholic Church who are challenging the authority of Rome. The central question now is, will the papal teaching office give way, or will the German Church? It truly feels like an irresistible force meeting an immovable object, and many are worried about the potential for an explosion.
So, if this conflict continues to escalate, what are the potential outcomes? Are there scenarios where this doesn't lead to a complete split, or is that almost inevitable at this point?
There are essentially three main possibilities being discussed. The first, and perhaps most dramatic, is an outright schism, where these liberal German bishops and their followers are no longer in communion with Rome. The second scenario would see Rome finally clamping down on these rebels, bringing the Germans back into line with official doctrine. But then there's a third possibility, which is Rome quietly acquiescing to the German agenda, essentially falling in line with the progressive views championed by entities like the European Union and the United Nations on sexual matters.
That third option, Rome quietly acquiescing, sounds like it could potentially avoid a direct confrontation. But does it really resolve the underlying issues, or could it lead to new problems?
You hit on a crucial point there. Even that third possibility, Rome acquiescing, might also result in a schism, but from a different direction. Here's why. While many European states have redefined marriage as a genderless institution, very few African countries have. The opposition of African Christians to the Western agenda on sexual issues is well known and very strong. So, if Rome embraces the German agenda, it might then have to choose between Europe, where the big money is, and Africa, where the numbers of faithful are rapidly growing. It's a deeply complex dynamic with massive implications for the global church.
That's a fascinating and incredibly high-stakes dilemma. And what about the perspective of conservative Protestants on all of this? Would they be cheering on a potential fracture within the Roman Catholic Church?
Interestingly, the article argues that conservative Protestants should not cheer for such an outcome. While historical rivals, the Vatican has actually been a significant ally in resisting the juggernaut of the sexual revolution for the past century. If it starts to waver, or worse, goes the way of liberal Protestant denominations, which have largely embraced these progressive ideologies, that's seen as a far worse outcome. The argument is that while they might disagree with Roman Catholic theology, at least the Roman Catholic Church officially teaches the existence of God and the supernatural. Liberal Protestants, in contrast, are described quite harshly, with the author quoting Philippians 3:18 through 19, suggesting their path leads to destruction. The sentiment is, we don't need any more of those, implying that a strong, if conservative Catholic Church is preferable to a liberalized one.
So what we're witnessing in Germany is far more than just an internal church dispute. It's a potential seismic shift with global implications, touching on historical precedents, theological divides, and even geopolitical and demographic shifts within Christianity itself. It's a story that will undoubtedly continue to unfold with profound consequences. Leave a like and share, please, and thank you for listening to ESM Podcast Show.
This is the ESM Podcast Show, where the love of Christ continues to grow. Lift your heart, let His presence glow. Together we rise, together we